Hello and good afternoon. My name is Martin Cowart, and welcome to Noonday Meditation and Contemplative Prayer Power Hour, where we've been gathering together every day at noon except Sunday to create a sanctuary, a refuge from all of the drama and the challenges that are in the world to sort of empower ourselves to move through this time from a place of love and generosity and gratitude. Not easy when there's so many things that are damaging, that are painful, that are hurting. But we really need in this time to be able to transcend all these fears and to actually come together in love and solidarity to support each other through these very difficult and quite frankly very very painful times. These are, I mean, the numbers of people that are dying every day and the way that is increasing is truly, truly heartbreaking and almost unbearable. It is almost unbearable. It is unbearable. I mean, we have to bear it because but we have to do something about it. And prayer is what we do. Because if we do something else, if we stay up in our heads and our fears, then we're going to get more. We're going to create more fear and more drama. But if we can let go of that, and we can through the art of surrendering prayer, centering prayer, if you will, contemplative prayer, we have an opportunity to build something bigger, solve a problem, and we do that from love. Let's see here. Hello. Hello, Darceau. It's nice to have you here today. Thank you for joining me on this Saturday afternoon. There's my friend Rohit, co-creating the wave of generosity and love. That is why we join each other. We are co-creating this new earth, this alternative fresh earth, grounded in love and prosperity and truth, and coming out of this dark. And there's my dear friend Michael Keesing. Thank you so much for joining us today, Michael. I'm glad you're here as well. We're gonna get we're gonna have some fun today. I'm excited. It's a beautiful day, and I got up this morning and I wrote some things that I thought were. I just got inspired this morning for some reason. I was inspired from yesterday when I had the opportunity to be on a business talk radio show for 30 minutes. It was the first of three segments, 30-minute segments each Friday at 4 o'clock that I'm going to be doing. I'll tell you right now. Thank you for asking. I'll tell you exactly right now how the radio show went. So they, I had a ball actually, and the topic and the feedback I got from people who listened to me gave me some good feedback. So I mean, I felt like it was good. It was a positive outcome, and I enjoyed it. And I think I have an important message around this whole idea of scarcity versus abundance to share with my clients and share with the world, particularly right now when there's so many people living in so much fear and doubt and scarcity around money because of the current financial crisis and the pandemic. So the topic yesterday was things we can immediately do to stop worrying about money and begin to enjoy making money. And it's really a shift of mindset. It the whole idea is to how do we shift our mindset from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance. Scarcity is basically a big lie, and abundance is the truth. But how do we not just get how do we get from being a intellectual exercise to who and what to realizing it's who and what we are. Oh my God, we got everybody here. I mean, on Saturday I'm all by myself, and then all of a sudden this is this Saturday and everybody's here. You know, that's just great. Hey, Audrey, good to see you here. And reporting in about my experience yesterday on being on the radio show. And again, the topic was ways we can tell people about things we can do immediately to stop worrying about money and begin to start enjoying making money. And what we're talking about is a shift of mindset. And that's what I teach. That's what we do in the world of prosperity coaching. I teach my clients how to use the spiritual wisdom of infinite intelligence and the universal law of abundance to solve their problems and create wealth. And see, well, what do you do? Well, there's things you can do. We can, excuse me, we can practice generosity, we can practice forgiveness, and we can practice the art of surrender, letting go. However, the most direct and effective thing we can do is pray. But we have to pray from the heart for it to work, because anything else is just simply not prayer. Prayer is a heart-centered action in the world. That's what prayer is. Prayer is when we go into our heart space and we create a plan, if you will. We get into a conversation with the divine within ourselves. That unconditional part of ourselves that just love, the unconditional love part of it. That's what it is. That's what prayer is by tapping into that creative genius, that infinite intelligence within us to solve problems and create a world and create. That's what we do. But we have to be careful, because prayer, any other form of prayer, if there's any, let me just back up a second. Our ego is not intelligent. It has no intelligence. But it learns quickly, and it's very clever. And it will learn, and it learns, it doesn't really understand or even believe in prayer, but it sees it as a tool that it could possibly use to get its needs met, its narcissistic needs met. And that would be what I call faux prayer, because you're praying to, or you're making pleas to a human construct of God, which is not true, to get something for yourself. And that's just simply not prayer. That is a narcissistic plea for your own power. And it doesn't work. For prayer to work, it has to come from the heart. It has to come from truth. And when it does, it's going to work 100% of the time. But the issue is you got to get there. You got to get to the heart space. And that's what we do in contemplative prayer. That's why it's such a powerful tool, a powerful way of action, is because we can let go of our personal needs, our personal egoic needs, as well as our human construct of God. If you'll notice what I say often in our excuse me, in our when we go into meditation, I will say, let go of any beliefs, opinions, and judgments you have, and about God, about everything, because anything in our mind, any thoughts or opinions or judgments we have in our mind, those are all constructs of our ego thinking mind. Hey, Vincent, how are you doing today? Good day to you too. Glad you're here. We've got quite a group of people here today, and I'm so excited that you're all here, because this is such an important topic, because all of us at some point have some fears around money and other things. And the point I made yesterday, so that's the distinction I want us to understand, is that there's nothing more powerful than the power of prayer, because that is the divine within us in action. That is the creative force of us in action, in alignment, if you will, through prayer. Through prayer, we align ourselves with the divine mother, the creative nature, infinite intelligence, whatever name you want to call that powerful force within us. It is through prayer that we actually connect, and it is through prayer that we actually create a better tomorrow, a creative future. And it has to come from a totally unconditional place, the heart. And if it's coming from something else, if it's simply a plea again for to get your needs met, which is fine, And you can pray for that sometimes if you want to, if you got something you want. But um, the issue is, um, you got to really just be aware. If you're just praying for your own selfish needs to some idea of what you think God is, it is not going to work. Because for number one, the ego doesn't even understand what, doesn't believe in prayer, and doesn't understand it. Again, it's just clever. It thinks it's some kind of tool it's going to use to get its needs met. Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. And that's not just the Catholic Church. I think that's the Baptist Church. There's it's the Episcopal Church too. I'm an Episcopalian, but no, there's no church. It's not just the Christian church. Every religious institution out there, which is a construction of the human mind, often centered around a construction of a concept of a God. You know, human beings and religious institutions didn't create didn't create themselves in the image of God. They created themselves in their human concept of God. And that could be dangerous at times, has been. Yeah, of course, there's no heart connection, but that doesn't mean that every Roman Catholic and every Catholic church is like that. Because one of my biggest teachers is a Roman Catholic priest named Richard Rohr, and he's got the Center for Action and Contemplative Prayer. And if you grew up Roman Catholic, and you're struggling with all of these dogmas and beliefs that just don't feel right to you and don't have any heart connection, you might want to just begin to follow Richard Rohr and read some of his readings, because he's an extraordinarily uh, gifted and talented teacher and coach and contemplative in our world today that has taught me tremendous amount. So it's a both and, it's an awareness. We don't need to go out and condemn the Catholic Church or talk ugly about it, or anybody really. Because when you enter into that heart space, you're not coming from a place of superiority, because there is no superiority. You're just seeing those as things that's just behavior. It's just shadow behavior. I would say most churches, most religious institutions, I haven't run into one yet, has got both a gold side, just like us, and a shadow side. There's a gold and a shadow. We got a gold and a shadow, and our institutions that we created out of our human experience have a gold and a shadow. So our job, if you're a Roman Catholic, is to let go of your all that shadow stuff and find out what's behind the shadow. What's the gold inside that? And the gold in the Roman Catholic Church and in the Episcopal Church and any Christian church, really, the gold is the heart centered of God, the heart centered of Christ. That's the light. But a lot of institutions were built on the shadow, right? There's Mindy. Wonder where you were. How are things in Vermont today? How are things up in Vermont? It's beautiful here. Let's see what Vincent has to say. When we were children, I thought that you wished at birthday. If you wished for yourself, it wouldn't come true, only for others. There's some truth in that. Yeah. Whenever we put out a humble request to the divine creator, what we want to do is we want to go into participation with and collaboration with the creator through the heart. And that's why prayer in action is the creative process of action. And Richard calls his center the Center for Action and CAC, Center for Action and Contemplative Prayer. So it's all about prayer in action, is heart-centered action. And what I wrote this morning was about, you got two different things going on right now in the world. And I got a Mitch McConnell over here on one side, who's made it very clear that he wants to retain control of the Senate, but I have not heard him say anything that he wants to retain control of the Senate for the betterment of anybody other than his own sense of power. And I'm going to ask you a question. If he's praying to whoever what he believes God to be, who's going to give him his way, by the way, which has got to be a human construct, then I don't think he's going to get it. Because I don't think God's listening. He's not talking to God, and God's not listening because he's coming from the wrong place. You know, I mean, I can just feel. How does it make you feel when you see that? It makes me feel bad because it's driven by fear. But if you look at the other hand and you watch the actions and you hear the talk and the conversation coming from Stacey Abrams, then well, you have a whole different message. She's not doing all this work and going through all this effort to make herself powerful. She's doing all this work because she wants to put people in the Senate that have committed to to serving the people that have put them there, to doing things and taking action for the betterment of others. That's coming from the heart, and that's going to happen just for that reason. So that's why I made up this conversation this morning about looking at the difference in how we can actively participate in advancing our country forward into being a more heart-centered, a more loving, a more nurturing place, is by putting people in power who share those values. I don't know what values Mitch McConnell has, because he's never talked about values. He's only talked about what he wants for himself for his sake of his own power. It's not a political conversation about it. This is about the difference between power and force, and real power in the world. And real power comes from the heart. Bless the heart who pray for others before it reaches to who you pray for. I love that. Yes. Heart-centered prayer is never selfish. We're sometimes taught as kids, and we're also taught all things about kids about what God is and what God isn't. And we grow up and we realize that a lot of that is not really true. But praying for your own specific needs, and particularly if it's a prayer that's going to put you into a superior position to somebody else, is coming from the ego, because the heart knows there's no such thing as a superior position, because we're all equal. So when we pray from that place of abundance and place of love, we're going to get back more love and abundance for ourselves and for each other. It is a selfless act of kindness when we pray. Yeah, well, now that you're becoming aware of that and realizing that you, like I would say 99% of the people our age grew up in a dysfunctional family that has some very immature egoic views of God, then of course. But you have to be careful and not blame them, because they don't know any different either. They're just living in fear. So as you become more enlightened, Michael, and you become more aware of the truth of what you are, you'll stop blaming your parents. Maybe you're already doing that, but all of us grew up with some type of dysfunction in this country, either from our family or even from the government or from the institutions we're part of, because they were all human made to obtain human power and control. Every one of them. I don't know one that's not. And that's what that's what we're about today, is we're about to tear down those economic structures and social structures and economic systems that are so lopsided, that are so painful and so toxic. And you've got to have some courage, my friend, to challenge your parents. And I don't mean that in a way like you're right and they're wrong, but the way you challenge them, you ask them, is it true? Ask them, what does unconditional love mean to you? It's my understanding that God is unconditional love. Does that mean something to you? Is that your understanding of God? Start with that. This is my truth. My truth is that God love. I am God, and that's the unconditional love in me. What is yours? That could be a start. And don't go into the conversation to win. Go into the conversation because I want to listen to understand. Because if you listen to understand, you'll find out where their fear comes from. And then you can help them find the gold inside themselves. You see what I'm saying? Stacey Abrams is awesome. That is a true statement. Yes. If she's, you know why she's engaging people? Because it's all we're connecting at the heart. We're connecting at the struggle, actually. We're connecting at the pain points. But we're not connecting at the pain points from a place of fear. We're connecting at the pain points from a place of love. That's the difference. That is the difference. Fear mongering is when you go out and you sort of hammer in the pain points with fear and to get power. But when you come in from a place of love and empathy and compassion, you connect on those pain points as a way of healing. Having hard conversations with family and friends necessary to transform and strengthen our relationships. Absolutely. I call it compassionate truth. Truth without compassion isn't truth. It's an opinion. Truth without compassion is mean. It's an opinion. And it's mean, and it's mean, and it's destructive. And just pure compassion without any truth to it is meaningless because it too has a manipulative quality. Like I feel compassion. I'm going to be nice to you, even though I don't really like you, for example. You have to go to a deeper place within you and look at what is it about me that doesn't like this person. So, like in your case of your family, Michael, is like what is a compassionate, truthful conversation you can have with your parents? If you want to do, first the question you have to ask yourself: do you want a deeper, more fulfilling, more intimate relationship with your parents? Are you willing to let go and forgive them for their own behavior, for example? So you got to resolve this first within yourself before you can do anything about resolving it with anybody else, particularly your parents. So the work you're doing here in the Mankind Project of getting clean and clear and an open heart toward your parents is where you start, and you're doing that. So when we come with an open heart and a clear head and a connection to the divine, these conversations, while they might be a little uncomfortable, they're going to be vulnerable. You're going to feel vulnerable, and that's okay. But you're going to have some courage. And if it's feeling vulnerable and you got the courage to be vulnerable yourself, you can transform and strengthen those relationships. Yes, got it. So back to again, let's go back and let me just go back because I want us to all be. I want to encourage everyone today to take part in self. You can transform and strengthen. That's me on my other screen talking back to me a minute later, so I got to turn that off. So what we begin to see is that we begin to look at the different ways we pray, and that's what we're talking about today. That's why I do this teaching around contemplative prayer to distinguish between egoic prayer, prayer for our own needs and our pleas for our own whatever we need, and a prayer for the betterment of the others. Let's take it apart a little bit. Let's say you don't have a job right now. Let's say you're in a place where you're truly worried about money because you have some responsibilities, and because of COVID-19, you are in a place of fear and doubt and scarcity because you got to feed your family. You don't have any money coming in, and that's a reality for a lot of people. What do? I'm gonna say you pray. I'm gonna say you pray, and this is how you pray. First of all, you acknowledge to God that you don't know what to do and that you're afraid. God, I'm afraid. I've lost my job. I don't know what to do. I got to feed my family and I'm scared. So you tell God the truth and you say, and then you practice the art of surrender and you say, God, this is unmanageable for me. I don't really know how I'm going to solve this, how I'm going to feed my family next week. And you surrender it. You absolutely just surrender it to God. And you say, I let go of this. It is beyond my capacity. I don't know how to solve this. I don't know what to do about it. And I'm feeling a lot of fear around it. But I'm willing to surrender it and ask for guidance. Not just for my family and myself, and I want to pray this for all of my brothers and sisters who are in the same position as me right now. Help us all. Help us all find a solution to this pandemic, to the financial crisis, to the inequalities in our system. Do you see how you've broadened your prayer petition out to something so much bigger than yourself? And then you sit in silence and you listen. We say every day in this contemplative prayer hour, power hour, we stop what we're doing. We, with an intention, let go of all the beliefs and opinions and thoughts and judgments in our head, our fears, our worry. We just lay them on the table at the feet of God, at the foot of the cross. We say in the Episcopal Church and in the Christian Church, we turn our problems over to the foot of the cross because we don't know. We're powerless over all this. And I will promise you, it may not happen but it may even happen the second, as it did for me. Things will begin to shift. You will find solutions. People will come to help you. And that may not be the way you think they are. It might be that all of a sudden you realize that you and your family are going over to Tony's Kitchen over in Montclair for dinner. But you got food. You know? You got something you can be grateful for. And you can pray for elected officials and people in power to come into power who are going to enact legislation and empower laws and create economic systems that are going to support you and others, not just you personally, but they're going to support you and everybody else that's in the same situation. And that's how we create it. Because you're coming from a place like, Lord, I got everything. I'm so grateful for everything I have right now. I got my family, I got my health, but I don't have a job, and I'm scared. And you're going to come out of that space, I believe, feeling empowered and comfortable. Maybe not comfortable, but empowered, hopeful. And getting back to Stacey Abrams and what they're doing in Georgia, my prayer is that for her and for all those people in Georgia who are doing all that hard work to put people into those positions of power in our legislature, who are committed to making a difference and enacting laws and creating social structures and economic systems for the betterment of others. It is important that we both pray for that and we actively participate in it. Now, I'm not telling you how to vote, but I am telling you how to pray. I am telling you how to pray. And I'm telling you to pray from the heart. And it works. It will work. If everybody in this country begins to wake up and begin to pray from their heart for a new and fresh way of living in the world, a world that's grounded in love and prosperity and truth, transparency, compassion. Oh, happy day. And we're doing it. And we're doing it. And we're doing it. Let's just focus our effort there and make it happen and put all of our love and support into all those courageous. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I grew up in South Georgia. And I can tell you right now, it's not a particularly safe place for black people to be too loud. So I want to pray for all those brave souls and all those white people who are there in solidarity, who are coming from their heart, who are willing to stand up against their parents and their brothers and sisters who don't want to give up power and control because they're afraid. So it takes a lot of courage down there right now to stand up to years and years of oppression. And the time has come. The time has come. And we're going to step into power. And that kind of prayer from the heart is huge. And the bigger that collective is, the more of us that are doing it are more conscious of it. It's going to happen. We're going to make it happen. Because we are co-creating. It is our creative genius. It is our creative part of who we are to create this new world. And it's an exciting place to be. So that's how you begin to immediately shift your mindset from worry and scarcity and lack, a lie, to the truth. There's nothing lacking. We got everything we need. We got every resource in the world for everybody. Every man, woman, living thing on this planet to thrive and enjoy life. It's just a way of changing what goes on in our mind. Transformation. Going from one way of being to another. And let's participate in going from one way of being and living in fear and doubt and scarcity to living in love, joy, and prosperity. And that's what I got for today. Anybody else got anything they want to add before we meditate? I love it. I love that everybody's asking questions and they're participating and putting their ideas up on the board, because it makes this a much more lively, entertaining, and engaging time together from my perspective. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. First, I want to turn off my phone. Then I want to set the timer. And we will meditate. And we will start by raising our hands in the air. And we raise our hands in the air just to become conscious of that life force energy within us. That's what raised your hands. That life force is what raises our hands. Feel it. Feel it in your body. Feel the electrical sensation in your fingers right now. That's alive. I'm alive. You can put your hands down in your lap and get comfortable. But sit up tall. Let's sit up tall like proud, proud human beings. Warriors, courageous warriors for love and justice. And in doing that, we're going to let go of all our beliefs and opinions and judgments we have about ourselves and others. Let go of our need to be right, to blame others. Become conscious of your breath. Just for a moment, become conscious of your breath. And for the next few minutes, make your primary purpose just to be here, breathe, and let go. And I'm going to do the best I can right now to breathe, love, and let go. Soften the mind and hold on to nothing. Allow those deeply rooted belief systems and judgments and stories to untangle themselves, loosen themselves, and drop away. And as you do, scan your body. How are you feeling? How are you feeling emotionally right now? How are you feeling physically right now? And allow yourself to feel more deeply into that. Whatever that is, feel it, accept it, love it, and allow yourself to use that feeling as a way to guide you more deeply inside yourself. And let go of everything and fall back into that stillness of unconditional love. I am unconditional love. I am infinite intelligence. I am the light of the world. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world here in this moment to shine that light on all this darkness. Allow that bell, along with the sound of my voice, to wake us up from our thoughts, our stories, our narratives, our dramas, all of our attachments, and let them all go and fall back into the stillness of unconditional love. Allow the sound of that bell in my voice to wake us up from our thoughts, our beliefs, our opinions, our stories, our narrative, all those things we're attached to in this world. Let them go and fall back into that stillness of unconditional love. One more time, allow that bell in my voice to wake us up and let go of all those thoughts, opinions, and beliefs and stories you might have found yourself in. Just let them go and fall back into the stillness of unconditional love. And that's our final bell. Welcome back from our noonday contemplative prayer. Meditation with an intention to let go of our egoic beliefs and opinions about God, to step into the truth of the divine within us. A courageous act of claiming our own divine nature. Anybody have any comments, thoughts, suggestions? How are you going to spend the rest of this beautiful day? I've got a good friend coming out this afternoon, and we're going to go for a hike over in the mountains. Well, not the mountains, but we call it the mountain. It's a beautiful day to get outside for a hike, be with a friend. So I'm looking forward to that. And if no one else has anything they want to add, thank you so much again. Here's something. There you go. You're welcome. To sit and be open to this process. Yes. That's a perfect way of putting it, Michael. It's the ability to sit in the discomfort of living in two worlds. The world of the material world, the world of the earth that is often painful and destructive, currently is right now. And at the same time, to sit in the stillness of unconditional love. Thank you. So, everyone, please have an absolutely wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'm not here on Sundays, but I will be back on Monday. May love and prosperity prevail.